you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sargent. Thank you, and good evening. So I'm going to start us off with the language arts portion, and then I'll hand it over to Ms. Russo for the math portion. So in the area of language arts, just to give you a little bit of framework, I haven't used a clicker in a while. Makes me feel super important, though. So if we think about our framework, we follow a balanced literacy structure. And so within that structure, we focus on three main components that sprinkle down into a lot of other smaller but very important components. So both, oops, I'm going to click ahead. Oh, no, there I am. So we use reading workshop. We call it reading workshop for our reading, writing workshop for our writing focus, and then phonics and word study for our phonics, phonemic awareness, and word study type spelling opportunities. And so within those three areas, across our day, our youngest students from grades kindergarten all the way up to 4th grade are receiving approximately 120 minutes of daily language arts instruction, which is awesome. So they're receiving reading, through guided reading, through book clubs, through opportunities for shared reading, opportunities for assessment, which I'll talk about in a moment. And it mimics as well in writing. So our students in writing are getting opportunities every single day to write alongside the books that they're also reading. Sometimes it's a response to the books that they're reading. Sometimes it's a shared reading opportunity. They're doing writing assessments. They're responding to literature that they're reading about or writing about the world around them or experiences that they've had. And then the last component, which is an important one too, is our phonics and word study. So our younger students are getting daily explicit phonics instruction through some variety of programs we use, most importantly through our small group instruction, and I'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment. And then our upper grades, our 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders are getting a similar phonics explicit instruction through word study, which back in the day we focused on spelling when we were all growing up, I'm sure, but now we focus more on word study and understanding the patterns and understanding the way words work. So that's really the balanced literacy structure that we use. To dig a little bit deeper, our reading workshop, our writing workshop, and our phonics and word study all get supported by the resources that we use in our curriculum. And the main pieces that we use are through the Teachers College reading and writing units, but that's not the end all. We have lots of other resources that we use that are listed on the PowerPoint to support the many areas that allow us to be successful in the area of language arts. Most importantly, teachers have flexibility to really do what's right for the children in front of them. So we have lots and lots of resources to support that, and that's what allows our language arts instruction to be most successful. You can see my little example of balanced literacy. So those three core areas are what's most important that we make sure we touch upon. And then, of course, we need to assess our students to see how they're doing and how things are going for them. And I'm going to show you some specific data that we use through our Fontes and Pinnell running records. Dr. Sargent, I'm sure, has spoken to you about this before, but this is something that we use kindergarten through 5th grade. Our students are assessed 2 to 3 times a year. Kindergarten, we start them a little bit later once they get to learn how to be students and they learn to be in a school every day. But our 1st through 5th graders are assessed at the beginning of the year, mid-year, and at the end of the year. And we use that data to help support us as we drive our literacy instruction. But that's not the end all. We have several assessments that we're doing ongoing. So whether a teacher is listening to a student read through a running record, or they're working with a child who's practicing some writing skills and they're providing a writing rubric, there's lots and lots of opportunities. And I listed a whole bunch here because we also assess in a variety of ways. We assess in a formative way, which is a good example of our Fontes and Pinnell assessments, but we also assess that same skill set in a summative way at the end of the year to sort of celebrate how our students did across the school year. And you can see there's also some alternative assessments. We certainly have students that do better in different platforms. So sometimes some of our students are reading to a computer or reading to another student while a teacher's listening. Different things that we do to help support students that may not necessarily perform best in our average use of assessments. And so here is our latest data. So like I said, we are assessing our students in the Fontes and Pinnell assessment through our benchmark running records 3 times a year. So you can see where our students fall. What this data chart represents is the average of our students that are either on or above grade level at the midpoint in the school year. So we set some benchmarks at every single grade level, and this is showing the percentage of students that are reaching those mid-year benchmarks at this point in time. So I will say, and I'll show you on the next slide a little bit of a closer look between last year and this year. We're trending in a really good direction when we think and we consider coming out of some pandemic teaching. This is really, really awesome for us, and I'll show you on the next slide that we're slowly growing up. But as you can see, first grade, and I'll show you on another slide as well, first grade there's a dip, and that dip is really significant because there's a lot of levels that a child has to move through a first grade, and I'll show you on another slide what I mean by that. So here's our 2-year comparison. So if you look, the blue column in each of the bars is our 2022 results at the mid-year, and the red is our 2023. So we're doing well. We're moving up in every capacity. Like I said about first grade, we're a little bit behind where we were last year, but it's not so significant that it's not something that we can understand. And what I mean by that is, like I said, that first grade jump is pretty significant. And it's done through, I'll show you the next slide. It's done through what we call the Fontes and Pinnell ladder of progress. And so Fontes and Pinnell scores children or levels children from an A to a Z. Our kindergartners roughly have to move from below A to approximately a level C by the end of kindergarten. So they're moving just through a few levels of books. If you look at the top right, that's an example of a level B book. So that's a mid-year kindergarten book. So you can see the amount of words on the page, the structure where the picture is really matching to support what the words are saying. So there's a lot of support. As the children move into mid-year first grade, the bottom picture represents a mid-year level G, which is a mid-year first grader. That's where we hope that our children are. There's a big difference. So that's why I bring this up, because while there's a lot of growth that happens in that first grade year, and quite honestly, as a former first grade teacher, there's also a lot of celebrations that happen because you have lots of non-readers that become these exceptional readers by the end of first grade. But it's also a big jump. So some children that were just getting by are still struggling by the mid-year and first grade. So that's where we are. But then, the progression continues, and we see lots of great success across the grade levels. And so what do we do to make sure that our children are most successful? Here's a whole list, and this is not an all-encompassing list, but this is certainly a list of some of our highlights of the things that we make sure that we're constantly following through to support our areas of literacy success. And so something as simple as balanced literacy that I spoke about. We have ongoing professional development coupled with 2 really, really amazing literacy coaches that we have at the elementary level that support all of the work and the professional development that we utilize for our teachers. Over the past few years, we've also incorporated data walls. So every elementary school has their own data wall, and so I provide that information, but they're working in a reading committee at the school level to talk about not only children that are struggling, but children that they want to celebrate, children that are doing really, really well. And so they have their data wall that they're coming together as a team. They're talking about trends that are happening specific to their school and how they might support their students best. The great thing about those data walls is this year we also incorporated some lunchtime meetings for the teachers, and it's a perfect opportunity for them to come together in a variety of capacities and a variety of groups in order to discuss that information. Sometimes it's hard to find time as teachers, but now that we have those meetings, it's really helpful for the teachers to be a part of that. Lots of professional resources. We're sharing articles. Teachers are sharing really great things. Quite honestly, there's so much out there that teachers, I think, feel comfortable coming to me or coming to their colleagues and talking about all the great stuff that exists to support students in the area of literacy. Reading and writing reading intervention, we have a pull-out. We have a reading specialist in every single school that supports some of our more struggling students by pulling them out of class to give them more interventions in reading. We also have some intervention teachers that are doing more targeted work. Our coaches that I mentioned already. And then we're really excited because for the past few years, we've had some summer programs. So we have our Summer Stepstones program as well as our Summer Boot Camp program. And our Summer Boot Camp program supports our students that need the most support. It's by teacher recommendation and by some of the data that I spoke about. And then our Summer Stepstones program is open to any Parsippany student to give them a step ahead and give them kind of a bird's eye view into what's happening for the year ahead of them. And that's a virtual program that's really well attended. So thank you so much for hearing about literacy. And I'm going to hand it over to Anna Marie for some math.
All All right, thank you so much for having me. My name is Anna Marie Russo. I supervise K through 5 math, science, gifted and talented, basic skills, and intervention. So math is slightly different from guided reading. So with math, we have a 60-minute math block. Within our math block, we focus on guided math. So guided math is an interactive space where students can work by themselves, they can work with their partners, their peers, as well as working with the teacher. So we divide our math lesson into 3 separate sections. Our first section is our mini lesson where the teacher reviews a topic or skill with the whole group that usually lasts between 10 and 15 minutes. And then students after that move into their math stations. So their math stations include working with the teacher, where the teacher is able to pull a group of students that are leveled to offer targeted instruction on their instructional level or their instructional need for the skill. While that is going on, we have students working in pairs, students working by themselves, and students working in collaborative groups. They have the opportunity to do reflex math, which is our online fluency math program. They have the opportunity to do hands-on manipulatives and work with building activities that might be related to the content or skill. They also have the opportunity to do math games, online math tools, as well as hands-on math stations and centers. Towards the end of the small group lesson and or the class, the teacher offers an exit ticket. The exit ticket is the exit out of mathematics. This gives the teacher an opportunity to plan for the next day, to see where the students lie within their skill level, and to see if any extra remediation or enrichment is needed for that particular topic or skill. And our guided math is 5 days a week, 60 minutes a session, and that is the overall structure within our math framework. So our math curriculum resources are a bit different than literacy. We currently have been using Go Math program for quite some time. Unfortunately, Go Math is sunsetting as of July 2023. So we are moving towards Envision Math 2024. So it is a program that has been around for quite some time. There's been Envision 2.0, Envision 3.0, and now Envision 2024 Math. So we chose this through a math curriculum committee throughout the year, which consisted of our general ed teachers, our special ed teachers, as well as our ESL teachers. We had the opportunity to meet with several math companies where they presented to us, they showcased their company, and then from there we took a committee vote. With a committee vote, almost every single teacher and educator chose Envision Math. So we are very, very excited to implement that starting September 2023. A few components that I thought I would highlight within Envision Math that really supports our guided math structure is the math differentiated center kits. So within our Go Math program, our teachers were creating a lot of their resources, and they were, collaborating and doing a great job, but it was a lot of extra work on the teacher. Envision Math has so many opportunities for math differentiated centers, and they're leveled with your high learners, your high achieving learners, your struggling learners, as well as your middle of the ground learners. They already have prepared center kits where there's STEM opportunities, there's literacy opportunities, there's higher order thinking, critical thinking projects, along with other games and activities that support the Envision Math topics. Along with that, they have an adaptive online learning product. So students are able to log on to this learning product. The teacher can level the activities that are given to the students based on the topic or skill. And excuse me, from there, the students are able to work at their instructional skill level. And then additionally, it does have intervention activities. So we do have our intervention students that are pulled out a few times a week, as well as our basic skills students. So it includes a really great RTI approach, and it allows students that really need that extra support to be provided that within the classroom. Additionally, our teachers have been, our coaches and I have actually been working really, really hard to assist teachers with this transition. Like I said, we've had Go Math for quite some time. So we've been using the lunch meetings to really prepare our teachers for this transition. So our most recent lunch meeting took place during the last week of April, where teachers were allowed the opportunity to take a look at the materials, as well as given the chance to just see the highlights of the program and a few other items that they might have been interested in. We will continue with our Reflex Math program. The Reflex Math supports grades 1 through 5. It includes fluency for addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So our math assessments, similar to language arts, we do the benchmarks 3 times a year. We have benchmarks in the fall, the winter, and the spring. Our benchmarks are done online through our Houghton Mifflin Hardcore program, Think Central. Within Think Central, they are giving a beginning of the year test, a middle of the year test, and an end of the year test. Students have the opportunity after that to participate in our formative assessments, which are our quick checks, our small group instruction and observation from the teacher. It could be quizzes and a lot of other opportunities for formative assessments. Our summative assessments include chapter tests, performance tests, along with other items. And then we additionally have our performance tasks, which are located within our alternative assessments. So our middle of the year math data, so this is the average of every school, so all of our 10 schools, it's the average of the middle of year math performance. So this was given once again online during the months of January and February. You will see that there is a slight dip within grades 3, 4, and 5. This is very normal. Within K and 2, students work on their addition and subtraction, as well as place value. When you get into grades 3, 4, and 5, we get into the more challenging concepts, the more rigorous concepts. It includes multiplication, division, fractions, along with multiplying, dividing fractions, and problem solving and critical thinking. So this is very normal, but as you will see on the next slide, you will see the difference between our 2022 scores versus our 2023 scores. So here you will see that 4 out of our 6 grade levels have increased, which is excellent. There is a slight decrease in grades kindergarten and in grades 1, but still we are making great progress and great stride. I really do owe it to the teachers. Every single teacher in Parsippany is doing the guided math approach, and we really are providing our students with multiple opportunities to work on activities that are related to their instructional level. So here is our grade 5 accelerated math data. So this was something that was started in our 1920 school year. We started a pilot in all of our 10 schools, and this pilot was for grade 5 students within accelerated math. They would be completing 2 grade levels within 1 school year. So grade 5 accelerated math, we had 51 students start in the 1920 school year, and they completed a half a year of grade 5 and a half a year of grade 6. Now these 51 students actually increased to 52, and this past school year, during the 22-23 school year, they're actually completing geometry in grade 8, which is an outstanding and excellent math path. From here, if they continue on this path, they will have the opportunity to take multivariable calculus, which is a college level course. So we are very, very excited. So you will see a slight dip in our 23-24 numbers. This is certainly due to the pandemic slide. We are working diligently with our grade 5 math teachers, our grade 4 teachers, and our grade 3 teachers. We revised the curriculum back in 21-22 to include more opportunities for above grade level work in problem solving, critical thinking, along each of the different domains of math. So what are our strategy for success? So number 1, guided math. We started this pre-pandemic. And we are finally full-fledged, and we are there working on our guided math practices. We really do a lot of math professional development. This year we had the opportunity to do math coaching in all of our 10 elementary schools. So a lot of our teachers volunteered for this opportunity, and they were able to observe other teachers across the grade level, and they were able to gain different teaching practices, different classroom environments, as well as a lot of other wonderful things that were going on in the classroom. Additionally, with the addition of our math coaches, they have been tremendous. They have provided our teachers with a ton of math resources, especially leveled math resources for guided math. They've created a Google Classroom. There is a Google Drive that has a lot of resources, and they're meeting with our teachers on a rotating schedule, which has been great. Additionally, we have our basic skills math teachers. We have our intervention teachers. Our basic skills math and intervention, they pull out students 3 times a week. They work on activities that are going on in the classroom, as well as activities that are on their grade level. Additionally, we have the continuation of Summer Skills Bootcamp, which Marissa had talked about, as well as our Summer Stepstones program, which will continue the summer of 2023.